This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my video talking about the best versions of the characters from the Batman. I'm going to be looking at all the major Batman and DC characters that we know will appear in the movie. I have not yet watched the movie yet, but I'm going to take a look at what I think was the best interpretation of the character. So I'll be looking at the characters of Batman, Alfred, Commissioner Gordon, Catwoman, Carmine Falcone, the Penguin, and the Riddler. I'll look at the actor, the continuity, and why I think this is the best version. That part will only be brief, and I think it's just time to get into it. What I think is the best version of Batman is Kevin Conroy's Batman the Animated Series Batman, although Kevin Conroy does voice Batman in many continuities. I think Batman the Animated Series is the most complete one since it has multiple seasons, although I really do like Arkham. He does only have 4 games there, and 3 of them where he's played by Kevin Conroy. And I think that it's just better to judge him overall for the animated series, which I think is, in terms of, just his Batman, you get a lot more development and a lot more time with him. Although you could really give this to basically any of Kevin Conroy's Batmans, since he always plays them a pretty similar way, besides the one in live action. Going to Alfred, I think the best version was Sean Pertwee. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing these names wrong, so that I'm not going to get right. And he's from the Gotham continuity. And the main reason I give it to this one is because I watched Gotham for a while and definitely fell in love with the versions of these characters. And one thing I forgot to mention is I'm not counting any versions of characters that only played the secret identity and did not do anything with the hero's version. So characters like Gotham's Bruce Wayne and Catwoman will not be counted since they only played, for the most part, Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. But going with this version of Alfred, he has a really good relationship with Bruce, helps raise him, and has gone through many things with his version of Bruce Wayne, trying to be loyal even when he is fired multiple times, and he does have a good relationship with his Bruce Wayne. He's also a great father figure to him, and helps raise him and tries to teach him right from wrong. I really enjoyed this version of Alfred. Moving on to Commissioner Gordon, or actually he's the version James Gordon, since he is only a police officer in this. I would have to give it to Gotham's Ben McKenzie, and he served as sort of the main protagonist of the show, although you could argue, which I do agree with, that it kind of has 3 protagonists, with Gordon, Bruce, and Penguin all serving as main characters in it, with the plots mainly revolving around them and always leading back to them. This was a great version of Gordon because we got a darker interpretation, and typically in most other versions of Gordon, he's just the cop that Batman works with. There's no real development, or the stories are pretty limited. The only versions that could compete are the ones from The Dark Knight, who does have a lot more character development and a lot more screen time, or the one in Batman Year One, who serves as the protagonist alongside Batman, as we see in the story from both of their perspectives. But those, I think, just don't have as much development, even though they do have a good amount of time. This Gordon has a lot more time to develop as a character, and is a lot more morally complex and more, unique of a character than anyone else. But that's mainly because we've never had anything truly focusing on Gordon as a character while the show makes him a really major character. Moving on to Catwoman. Honestly, I had a hard time choosing for her because I think that every interpretation of Catwoman has just been okay. I've never seen one that I, truly fully loved. I mean, there is a pretty decent one done in both Batman Returns and The Dark Knight Rises, but they aren't my favorites. I really do enjoy the one from Gotham, but since she was never Catwoman until the final episode and they changed the actress, I definitely can't count that. And looking at the Arkham ones, I was thinking about that, but I realized that honestly I don't love the Catwoman story-based stuff or her combat. That's probably one of my least favorite parts of the series. So I had to give it to the Batman the Animated Series version played by Adrian Barbeau. I think I have that pronounced correctly, but I am not fully sure. So let's move on to our next character, and this is Carmine Falcone. I know some people do say Falcone, but well, the reason I have is because I think the most developed version is from the one from Gotham, played by John Doman, because in most other ones, he is more of a minor character. And this is the great thing about Gotham. It took a lot of minor Batman characters and greatly developed on them, because we had characters like Falcone, Gordon, and Alfred who were usually just kind of there but in the background. But they did get fully developed, and we got to learn a lot more of them. I think that Falcone definitely was done the best in this, with him being a believable mob boss who cared about his city. They did a really good job writing him, and I think that he was a very compelling character. But he doesn't really have any major competition. We only have him from Batman Begins. He only appears in a few scenes in that, and then he does appear in The Long Halloween and Batman Year One, but in both of those films, he has a more limited role based on what he had in the comics. And with this, we have one of the first times he is fully developed as a villain. And it was really interesting. Moving to Penguin, as you see a pattern here, we have Robin Lord Taylor's version from Gotham. And just when watching this automatically made my favorite version of the Penguin because of just how great it was. It was a great mix between him being the normal mob boss he is, but also being a unique interpretation. I definitely love that. He was very well done, and the actor just did an amazing job. We have scenes like the one where he goes and feeds his stepbrother and stepsister to his stepmother, and that was a really dark but interesting scene. We also have him, just going into some time out of control in a rage and killing people. This was definitely very well done, and I definitely loved how this character was done. He was such a unique version of Penguin while still feeling like the character. And I think that's why I had to give this one to Robin Lord Taylor since he did such a good job with his Penguin. And finally, with the Riddler, I have to give the best version to Corey Michael Smith's Riddler from Gotham. But the thing is, with Riddler, there hasn't been too many amazing versions of him. The only ones that could really compete with this are the ones from Batman the Animated Series and the Batman show. But I think both of those versions just aren't as compelling as this version of Riddler. We get to see his full origin story, how he becomes the Riddler, and he is extremely, a complex character. Something I think Gotham did really well. He's also not annoying like he is in some other versions, including the Jim Carrey one from Batman Forever, and I don't really want to punch him in the face like I want to when I'm playing the Arkham games, because, well, Riddler gets really annoying once you continue to play those games. If you're only in one game, he's bearable, but once you get to multiple games, he starts to get really annoying. But still, I think that this was my best version because of just how unique he is. He has a great relationship with Penguin and the other characters in Gotham. He has a unique origin story and is really interesting. I really enjoyed this version of Riddler. Yeah, I'm wondering how these versions will do compared to the ones we see in the Batman. Although I'm not sure if any of these could be beat, since the other ones are all from TV shows that had seasons of development. The one that I think has a chance is the Penguin, since he does have his own show coming out. But still, all these versions of these characters are really unique, really interesting, and I am excited to see what they are doing with them, because we have just so many unique characters in Batman, and it is going to be interesting to see them appear in this film. I am very excited, and this is going to be the last video that I record besides a LEGO review before I watch the Batman tonight, as in the day you're watching it, because I'm recording this the day before, but I really do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.